Hello everyone and welcome to the Hockey Hub. I'm Brennan and today we're going to be looking at some of the best players to start the 2020-2021 season. Now obviously the season is almost 2 weeks underway and we've already seen some great games and some players are starting to have some standout performances this year. So we're just going to be looking at a handful of players that I think have really caught the attention of a lot of viewers, and me personally I think they're off to some really good starts. But we're going to start off with Tyler Toffoli. Now, Tyler Toffoli wasn't spectacular in his first few games with the Montreal Canadiens, but in the Montreal versus Vancouver series, which is a set of 3 games, Tyler Toffoli was simply sensational. He put up 5 goals in those 3 games and is now tied for the league lead in NHL goals. Toffoli's got 8 points in 6 games, and overall he's off to a very hot start with the Montreal Canadiens. Obviously getting a hat trick in his first game with the Montreal against the Vancouver Canucks, and then 2 goals in his second game. Toffoli's been a dangerous shorthanded option as well, picking up a couple of shorthanded goals and points. So Tyler Toffoli is a guy that's really off to a hot start this year, and he's excited a lot of Montreal Canadiens fans. But then I want to go over to Bo Horvat, who had equally just as good of a series as Tyler Toffoli did. Horvat scored in seemingly every game for Vancouver. He leads the team in goals and once again tied for the league lead in goals. So Horvat's off to a really hot start, and he's been one of Vancouver's best players on a team that's really struggled so far. Vancouver is 2-5, and they're really struggling to get wins and everything right now. They're struggling with their defense, and even some of their offensive stars like Elias Pettersson aren't exactly producing right now. That being said, Bo Horvat does what he always does. He's a leader, obviously the captain of the Vancouver Canucks, and he's definitely led them on ice with his play. Next up, I want to talk about Anze Kopitar. Now, Anze Kopitar is having a really good year and is actually really flying under the radar. Despite the fact that he only has 1 goal on the year, he does lead the NHL in assists with 9 and is tied for the league lead in points with 10. Kopitar is a two-way force, and he's actually leading LA to a not bad start. I think they're a little bit better than some people, including myself, expected, and although I don't expect them to make the playoffs, they have had a few exciting games, even beating a team like the Colorado Avalanche. So that being said, I do think Kopitar has been the driving factor for this. A good rookie performance so far by Gabe Vilardi has helped. That being said, Kopitar is definitely the driving force for this LA team, and he's off to a really good start. And going over to a Canadian team again, I have Mitch Marner. Now, Marner has got 4 goals and 10 assists and does lead the NHL in points, obviously tied with guys like Kopitar. But that being said, Marner has been an all-around force for the Toronto Maple Leafs, even getting in some penalty kill time, and I think he's probably been Toronto's best player in this early part of the season. John Tavares has had a really good start as well, and I want to put him in as an honorable mention. He's been a big goal-scoring threat on the power play for Toronto, and he's off to a great start. But I do think that Mitch Marner right now is driving the offense for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Leads them in points, and he's off to a great start. Now I want to talk about a goaltender in Semyon Varlamov. Varlamov has been incredible for the Islanders in this early start of the season. He's already got 2 shutouts, and his save percentage is absolutely insane. He's keeping the Islanders in games, and he's a big part of the reason why the Islanders are off to a really good start. The Barry Trotz system does help that, and does typically make goaltenders look a little bit better than they are. But that being said, Varlamov has always been a good goaltender, and he's really starting to put up great numbers in the Island after he had a strong season this past year. Varlamov has been great and is on pace to maybe even end up being a Vezina finalist if he can keep these numbers up. He's been simply sensational. Another goaltender that I want to get to talking about is Mackenzie Blackwood. Now, the New Jersey Devils have surprised some teams, and they're actually off to a not bad start, and the main reason for that has been Mackenzie Blackwood. He's got a .948 save percentage so far, and now that he's out due to the COVID protocol, you're probably going to see New Jersey slip a little bit, since he's easily been their best player and has been their team MVP so far. He was arguably their team MVP last year as well. He's been really great to start, and I think Mackenzie Blackwood honestly is one of the best young goaltenders in the NHL, and one of the most underrated goaltenders in the NHL. To me, he's a true starter with elite potential, and I think that he is going to be one of the better goaltenders in the NHL one day, and he arguably already is. If he keeps this up, he could really have an amazing breakout year and start turning some heads. And another guy from New Jersey I want to talk about is Jack Hughes. Now, Jack Hughes is actually proving a lot of people wrong and really is having a great start to his sophomore year. He looks stronger, faster, and overall looks like a more complete and physically mature player. He's around point per game. I think he's actually above point per game, and he's been absolutely huge for New Jersey. He had his first 2-goal game against the Rangers a couple nights ago, and he's simply looked incredible for the New Jersey Devils. Jack Hughes is starting to look like that true first-line center they expected him to be, and then when Hischier gets back and gets healthy, New Jersey could actually end up having a really good center duo of Hischier and Hughes. Hughes has been incredible, and he's been one of the best stories to watch so far this season. But moving back into goaltenders, I want to talk about a goaltender that I've given some criticism to in the past, but this season he's really off to a great start with the Anaheim Ducks, and that's John Gibson. John Gibson has a .938 save percentage, and he's keeping Anaheim in games that they have no business being in, like the series against Colorado, other series against Minnesota. So John Gibson has really been impressive to start the year. I'm not sure how much longer he can keep this up, as he does tend to get kind of worn down as the season goes along, since Anaheim doesn't typically use a lot of their backup options. Ryan Miller is a solid backup, but Gibson obviously is the guy, and he's still in his prime, so Anaheim relies on him for a lot of games, and so far you can see why. Gibson's simply been sensational, and I think him, Varlamov, and Mackenzie Blackwood have been the 3 best goaltenders to start the year in the NHL. Now moving into a couple defensemen, I want to talk about Jeff Petry of the Montreal Canadiens. Jeff Petry actually leads the league in points by a defenseman. He's got a couple of goals and 5 assists, so Petry's been really solid for Montreal so far, but not just offensively, but on both sides of the game. I do believe that he currently leads the NHL in plus-minus last time I checked, or I know he's up there at least, and he's really been a force for at both ends for the Montreal Canadiens. He's doing it all out there, defensively, offensively, and I think he's kind of become Montreal's best defender. Jeff Petry, in my opinion, has been the best defenseman in the league in this, early start of the season. Obviously, Petry is not the best defenseman in the league, and I don't think he's going to end up, being nominated for a Norris Trophy or anything, but I can definitely see him finishing top 10 in points for a defenseman. He's off to a really hot start, and although I expect it to cool down, just looking at the start to the year, Petry's been fantastic. Another defenseman who's been really good for the Vegas Golden Knights is Shay Theodore. Now, obviously, the defenseman in Vegas that's going to get all the attention is Alex Pietrangelo, since he's the new addition and signed to that massive contract. But Shay Theodore has been just as good, if not better, than Pietrangelo so far. He's already got 3 goals on the year and leads all defensemen in goals so far. We all know that Theodore is a goal-scoring threat. He's got very nice hands and a very nice shot. The assists are coming too, and his overall play is fantastic. Shay Theodore, for a while, was one of the more underrated defensemen in the NHL, but he's finally starting to get his credit, and I think that's a good thing. Shay Theodore is a true top-pairing defenseman in the NHL, and a pairing of him and Pietrangelo is arguably the best in the NHL. Theodore has been fantastic, and quite frankly, so have the Vegas Golden Knights. And the last guy that I'm going to talk about here is Winnipeg Jets forward Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor is off to a sizzling start to the year, and I think he's part of the reason why the Jets were comfortable enough to trade Laine. Kyle Connor is a true top-line goal-scoring winger with a more complete game than Patrick Laine, since Kyle Connor is also an excellent playmaker and is effective all over the ice. I know his analytical numbers aren't that great, but that being said, I don't think Kyle Connor is particularly a bad defensive forward. I think he's kind of average, but when you put up the offense and the goals like Kyle Connor does, he's definitely a valuable player and top-line winger for sure. He's so fast, strong on the puck, and he's got such good hands and an accurate shot. He's been Winnipeg's best player in this early part of the year, and I think that he is going to be Winnipeg's best winger, maybe already even now, over a guy like Blake Wheeler. I think Connor's play is a big reason why the Jets, were able to get Pierre-Luc Dubois, because I think, they've got their star winger there in Connor. I understand the potential of Patrick Laine, but I think Kyle Connor is the better player right now, and arguably might end up being, since I think Connor is a much more complete player. He's off to a hot start to the year, and so are the Winnipeg Jets. But that does it for today's video. I appreciate you guys watching till the end. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.